Ooh, Lordy, trouble's so hard. Ooh, Lordy, trouble's so hard. Ain't nobody know my troubles but God. Ain't nobody know my troubles but God. Welcome to the Moby Theater. Well, we've got a classic Moai 2 here, making those D20 banks, making those Gandys. Alien trash can turned out good. Another Gando. Very proud to say this printer did just fine. And the bar lowered a little bit, but that is, of course, a dwarf can. This David can is doing good. And, of course, we've got a Sharky. Sharko. It's going to be really ridiculous if nobody actually buys sharks during Christmas. I cannot imagine why that would be. But let's just say it's going to be really inconvenient. Thankfully, the Smilodon is almost done. Alien almost done. And on this one, this is one of the ones that we had that package with the nozzles that were mislabeled. They were like tiny nozzles, and it was so weird. Watch the last episode if you want to get filled in on that. But I have a couple of like used nozzles, slightly used nozzles that I believe are the right size. I don't really keep these around, but there's been a few times where I just put one aside or something. So I think we can probably figure out whether this one or maybe this one works. You can kind of tell that that's mostly new looking, so I think it'll be fine. And then we can get this guy in the game again. I ordered, of course, more nozzles, and I got them from like 3 different brands. So the statistical likelihood of getting some that are not correct is very, very low. I don't think we're going with the swirly colors anymore. It's just a little weird. There we go, back to the Christmas orthodoxy. We're gonna get the printers buzzing, and then we are going for coffee. Today is Sunday, and what that means, no mail pickup and no dropping stuff off at Klein's. So this is a really good day to just go full on rehabbing printers and putting stuff together, because we don't have that much time left before things get really epic, and it's just a real good day to do it. So let's try and I'm gonna set the goal of like adding 4 printers to the workforce. Let's say that. We have 3 spare hot ends. I'm probably not gonna need a new hot end for all 4 of the printers we're trying to do today. We'll see. But I also ordered some more hot ends that should be here in a couple days or something, which is still before Thanksgiving, if I've done the math right. And after Thanksgiving is when it gets really real, and Cyber Monday is when it gets really real. So yeah, we're gonna do that, but all the buzzing bees are buzzing. All the bees are buzzing, so we are going to get coffee. Don't worry, I didn't just have a stroke. Kind of random, but I watch Adam Savage on YouTube. Maybe it shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but yes, I was kind of sort of raised on Mythbusters. Raised is a little bit of a stretch. I was a teenager, but it was a big influence, and yes, I did end up being a maker, so that's not that shocking. I don't know if I've ever really thought about it this way, but when I was a kid, I guess my big 3 interests were music, art, drawing, and like making things. And I gave a pretty good run at the first one, and now I'm kind of doing the other 2. I think it is just warm enough that we could pull off the sunglasses. Let's get these beans. We got a thing that's called coffee love. Come with me if you want to dunk. So good. Man, that just never fails. I've been watching Roots lately, and of course, it's actually really good. It was a little before my time, but I felt like I should watch it at some point in my life. And it is great. LeVar Burton is great in it. But one takeaway that I was really not expecting to have is like, man, people used to say show enough a lot. Show enough. Something that was actually strange about Roots is it was very weird to see Ed Asner, who's the boss from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. So weird to see him like running a slave ship. Very, very weird feeling. I always thought it was a little bit strange that Betty White is thought of as having gotten famous from the Golden Girls, which is kind of true, but she was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show past season 4, I want to say, and she was really good on that. She wasn't like in every episode, but that was a pretty big breakout for her. Yup, little mistake yesterday with the decaf. I think we're gonna make some half and half coffee grounds. Shake the very ground. I wish I could reliably count on the fact or the idea that you guys know Space Ghost references, because you probably don't. Because it'd be a real good time for one, but I'm not gonna do it. Here at M3 is 3D, there's only 2 seasons. Adorable Ghost season and Christmas season. And it is not Adorable Ghost season anymore. It is Christmas season. Yup, ghosties, go over here. Actually, I think I have to get some stuff from the dollar store at some point. Maybe we'll get some real cheap Christmas decorations. You know, get into the season a little bit. Well, I think what we're gonna do now is some of these big prints have finished, so we're gonna reset them and get filament going, and maybe we'll package, yeah, let's package the stuff we painted yesterday, and then it's gonna be printer rehab season. Before all that though, you know what time it is. To paraphrase the Beastie Boys, we're about to get nice. So this is the old tin of coffee. I did get this from Ollie's, and as you can see, it's almost out. So we are going to combine the caffeinated stuff with the decaffeinated stuff. This brings the caffeine, and this brings a slight increment in quality over this. I wish I had the opportunity to use the word decrement. Decrement is the word of the day. Yep, here we go. Now, to stir. We put a normal size nozzle on this guy, and as you can see, we're getting a pretty normal first layer. So that's really what it was. All of that, I mean, I didn't really film myself fretting over this, but it was like an hour worth of just like screwing with things. So yeah, check your nozzles, boys. We got the Hateful 8 printing, all 8 of them. I think that nickname works. The Grateful 8. Ooh. The Grateful 8 are all printing, and now it is time to package all that stuff we painted in the last episode. Also, we're storing up these Sharkies. These are just extra. So I'm gonna tuck this under my arm. We're going to put this in the room where we're storing things. Packaging time. The first of many T-Rexes. Ah. Black and White David. Blue T-Rex boy. Another gold T-Rex boy. Einstein, white, no hook. Candy pipe. So this is a unique one. This is a bulldog, an American bulldog, and I've never sold one of these before. So this is the very first. Tiny froggy boy. So this is a little bit of like half-baked philosophy. I'm not quite settled on this in my thinking, but like it just occurred to me that there's a lot of people who are like sort of moral relativists or subjectivists, and I definitely super disagree with that stuff, and I think it's actually just factually wrong. But when you, I'm still fleshing out this thought, but when you think about what subjectivists typically do, is like, it's almost always tilted in like a negative direction. Like if something good happens to you, somebody who's like a radical subjectivist, relativist type person might say something like, well, that's great, but you're still like a short-lived life form living on a rock somewhere in the universe that's hurtling towards death. What they're doing when they say stuff like that is like they're using a comparison to argue why the thing isn't as good as it is. I mean, most of the time stuff like this is just a post hoc rationalization, like they just have a negative attitude or outlook for one reason or another, justified, not justified, whatever. They're just using that, all this intellectual stuff as an excuse to just like crap on something, right? But like if we're trying to play their game, which maybe you shouldn't, I don't know. If we are trying to play their game, it's like, you could just do the opposite. It's like, listen, okay, let's be subjective. There's no reason why I had to be alive right now. There's like no reason why things aren't just way worse than they are either. It's like you can use some kind of ultimate framework to make it all seem like so pointless. But it's like at the same time, I could just be like, yeah, well, I could have been born 500 years ago and like been living in squalor and die of some horrible disease like cholera or something and never get to do anything interesting or compelling with my life. It's like things are always, even if you're like the poorest person in America, at least you're still living in America. Like if we're gonna do the subjectivism thing, it's like we can always just say that your current state is subjective when compared to something that's even worse. Like why are we always just pushing things in a negative direction when you do that? Yeah, this is not like a super well thought out idea, but it is just like every time somebody says something like that, tries to make some argument for why things are really pretty horrible, you know, it's like, basically my belief system would be something like, not everything is subjective, but a lot of stuff is. So I have some sympathy for that. It's only when it gets into like things of absolute morality, like murder is actually wrong, stealing is actually wrong. Those are not subjective things, but an awful lot of stuff is. So it's like a lot of the times we kind of are, that's why they have a point. It's not that they're right, but they're right about quite a bit of life where it is just, I don't know, it's just all in how you look at it. And if it's all about how you look at it, just look at it a good way. Like why look at it in this way that just makes everything depressing? You just get to choose how you look at it. I don't know what to say other than that. Anyway, not a fully fleshed out idea, but that was just kind of occurring to me as I was packaging things. Like if I shouldn't accept my framing because there is no right framing, it also means there's no wrong framing. So I just get to think about things how I want for the most part. Like I said, it doesn't apply to absolute moral issues, but a lot of stuff really is just how you look at it. There's a newer taco truck that's pretty much right down the street. We're really getting a lot done today. I'm not gonna have a chance to do stuff like this once the big rush hits. So I got a torta, a burrito, and one taco to try a little bit of everything. I gotta say, this stuff smells really good. Also, this place is right across from a pawn shop. Also, I feel a little bit cool because she was like talking to me in Spanish the whole time, and she even gave me some sentences that are not like, some sentences that aren't like gringo sentences. You know, not the kind of stuff that they're expecting me to understand. She's like giving me like the full like typewriter Spanish. So I feel like I did pretty good. Ooh, so good. Spicy but good. Back at the shop, I've been rehabbing printers for a bit. This one's interesting. Obviously we don't have an extruder, and we didn't have a hot end, and we didn't have an extruder either. But here we've got an interesting problem. This is the extruder cord, and as you'll notice, one of the things is detached or whatever. Now there are people that know how to plug that back into this, I don't even know what any of this stuff is called, this end. But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go into the control box and just replace this whole thing. So we've got our control box here, we're gonna unscrew it, then we're gonna figure out which one of the things here is on the circuit board, unplug that and replace it. I'm realizing in doing this series that there's a bunch of stuff I know how to do, but I've never had to explain it to anybody. And like, I don't know what the terminology for a lot of stuff is. All right, we got the thing open. What we're gonna do, we're gonna trace this all the way through this cable group or whatever. Go back to the plug, look through here, and figure out where it is. By moving this around, I figured out it's one of the cables that's coming out of here. So we just gotta pull on each one, and then we will see which one it is. And through doing that, I figured out it's this one. Now, if I could read, there are probably labels on the board here, but I don't have such great vision. So this is how I have to do it. Oh yeah, there we go. Yep, it has an E on it. See, it's been so long since I actually opened up one of these and messed with the board that I forgot they put labels on the other side too. Well, anyway, I've shown you 2 ways of identifying which thing you should unplug. Now, some of you, if you end up needing to do this or something similar to this, you will have to order cables. However, I have so many parts printers and stuff that I know I have one of those sitting around somewhere that isn't doing anything. All right, I have an old control box here. Pretty sure it doesn't work. We're just gonna cannibalize one of these cables on here. There we go, extruder cord. All right, simple enough. Just plug this new one in here. Everything back to normal. This is plugged in. Let's put an extruder on this bad boy and it ought to be okay. Well, we'll see if this works, but there's no particular reason why it shouldn't. Yep, first line's going down. See, that's how good I am at bed leveling. This thing is still level after however long it's been. Yep, yeah, that's gonna be fine. Seems like it's working. Last action of the day. I think this printer works. There's nothing obviously wrong with it, but we're just gonna try and print something and identify what needs to happen. Yeah, I don't know, it's been a long time. I know I've taken the bed clips off of this, so we'll see. Just to make sure the hot end is clear, I'm pushing this through and you can see it's coming out pretty easily. I've checked all the little connections. Everything seems to be hooked up. It'd be really cool if this just like worked. I'd be so happy. Well, so far it's working. Getting real close to a totally full wall. Just these 3 random spools left to replace. And it will be a beautiful store. Whew, man. Whole bunch of monkeying with printers. We've got a few to go, but we're not that far off from being to full strength. Yeah, we still got like 4 or 5 days, depending on how you think about it, till things get crazy. So there's time to get everything fixed. And I hope people really buy sharks. I'd feel real dumb if I made all these sharks and then sell them. Ooh. Man, I think by the end of December, I'm just gonna go into an induced coma. I'm gonna sleep for a week. One of the reasons I kind of went all in on this business in the early days is I realized that I wasn't getting any younger and I was still in my 30s. It's like, look, if I'm gonna just do like a flat out 100% working all day business for years and years, I better do it now. Because like when I get older, I ain't gonna be able to do this. I guess I'm glad that I did that, because I can't imagine trying to start this thing at the age even I'm at now. I mean, I could do it, but dang. I'm really glad this business has worked out, because like, I just don't know if I could just like start another business. I don't know how Elon Musk starts another business every 6 months and he's like 50 or something. Granted, having billions of dollars and being able to just tell people to do things would be a big help, no doubt about it. It's kind of why I'm trying to get healthier and stuff. It's like, I just don't want to like end up being like a tired old man who can't do anything. Yeah, and it's working. Since I started trying to lose weight, I've lost like 30 some pounds, so everything's moving in the right direction. Somebody named Dunamis82 on the last video said, "Making your own filament and coffee, exclamation mark. Work, exclamation mark." I actually used to have a guy that opened for me that called himself Dunamis Day. So that's a really, really specific name. And yes, we do make both of those. And it does work. Art Fedderson on the previous video said they went to the ER and they caught a blood clot early. Good to hear it, man. I'm glad. I actually went to the doctor for the first time in my life about a year ago. Well, since I was a kid. I mean, you go for different things when you're like a kid or something, and I found out I was diabetic. But the good news was like I wasn't really bad, and I'm taking meds, and I've changed my diet a lot. Part of why I'm trying to eat healthier, you can see that I'm not totally perfect on that, but I've cut out a lot of the really bad stuff. Plus the meds help, and I'm almost within the normal range blood sugar wise. So it's like I kind of sorted out the not being homeless / financial part of my life, and I realized it was time to kind of start paying attention to my health, because basically up to the point where I started caring about that, everything was just about like getting back on my feet and getting at least somewhat comfortable. Whitey's Wicked Workshops, the Triple W, who is a longtime contributor, says that they love seeing other people's shops and they love all the positivity on the channel. A lot of you have voiced appreciation for the fact that we're highlighting some different Gratitude Gang members' shops and their printing setups and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I do like doing it. We've got the last one we're gonna do for the year, we're gonna do tomorrow. Try to space them out, you know. I don't want this to feel like, it's like if you just constantly plug everybody's shops, I don't want this to feel like an infomercial or something. Even though Ron Popeil, man, he could sell a mean rotisserie oven, okay? That guy was legit. But I just don't have the Popeil energy. So we got to spread it out a little bit. But since Christmas is coming up in a couple days, we're going to have to cut that part of the show off. But we will restart it in January once it slows down. If it slows down, hopefully it will. Hopefully it won't. What am I saying? I don't know. But we're going to restart the whole shop highlighting thing. It's just like everything, all the stuff kind of has to go on the back burner for the really, really, really busy time. But I enjoy it. And like I said, we've got a real good one for you tomorrow. Yup. A lot of you guys liked seeing Andy's shop. And that was pretty cool. I like, you know, the mix of smaller printers, bigger printers. I used to have really small printers. I had like 3 or 4 Monoprice minis back in the day. I was using them to make like, you know, those guitar hangers and some of the small stuff. I used to sell minis, like the kind you do board gaming with. But so many people got doing that, and there kind of wasn't that much money in it anyway, so like a lot of things, I kind of cut it out. Really, once you get to a certain point, you can't just be making like fiddly little things all the time. Unless you can charge a lot. I just didn't feel like charging like $50 for something this big, or 30 bucks for something that big. It just didn't feel right, but people do. No judgment. I just got into the headphone stands and other stuff, and that kind of became my thing for a good long while. Let me see, what am I grateful for? When I get busy like this, it's like I almost have to think about it for a bit. I'm really grateful that we are very close to filling up the walls on filament. I'm grateful that the filament extruders have kept working. I'm also grateful that a lot of these printers were actually pretty easy to fix. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to be like really hard, but you just never know. When something's sat for that long, it's hard to say because I just don't remember what's wrong with it. But it's looking like everything's going to be pretty fine. The only thing I'm a little worried about, we have just under 4 tubs of plastic left. It's the thing that's been hard about preparing for this Christmas is I don't know how much plastic I'm going to use, because the big stuff kind of uses, like, obviously they print slower and there's fewer large printers, but each of them takes more plastic each time, and they're running continuously. There aren't breaks in between, because if it takes days to print, that means the printer is printing continuously. All this kind of adds up. Plus, I just don't know what's going to sell. So I feel like we're definitely in a good place, but I can't honestly say I know how much plastic I'm even going to use this Christmas. The good news, though, is I'm definitely, like, if we have to order another batch of plastic during Christmas, it'll be a nightmare. But we can do it, you know? Like, I'll just sit it out there and slowly bring it in. Because I won't be able to take like half a day or whatever to parse it out. I don't know, I'm just thinking ahead. But yeah, I'm grateful that we're only a couple days away from the great wave, and everything's looking pretty fine. I actually made a list of stuff that I'll need to buy, but it's all small stuff that's not hard. I think we're as ready as we could possibly be. But yeah, I'm genuinely grateful for all those things. And I'm genuinely grateful that you guys tune in. I was going to say every week, but this is not Bewitched. This is not must-see TV. We're here every day, baby. I am very grateful that I have found an audience and built a little community of gratitude-minded people that like sharing their stories and sharing their day with me, and for whom I can share mine. It's a nice feeling. Feels like we got a nice little corner of the internet to ourselves that's relatively drama-free. You gotta appreciate that, because the internet is full of drama. But yeah, you guys keep sending in your selfies, your gratitude selfies. It is the Gratitude Gang Up. Tell me, not just me, tell everybody what little things you're grateful for. Could be a dog walk, could be coffee. Coffee is a popular subject. It could just be the delightful rays of the sun, unless you live in Canada, because the sun has forsaken that land. Also applies to Norway. You know who you are. But even if you don't have the sun, find something you're grateful for and tell us about it, because we gotta keep our eyes on the prize. And we are doing that here at the Gratitude Gang. So let everybody know, small moments of joy, little things you're working on, whatever you got going on, we like to hear about it. So, oh yeah, if you haven't left a review for this guy, leave Scott a review. He's gotten a bunch of good ones, but I'm just saying, he works hard. He works hard for the money. I will catch you next week, but I will also catch you tomorrow. Peace out. This is your night.